Ladies and gentlemen,
niggas and crackers,
guys, gals,
and non-binary pals, hot girls and city boys,
saints and ain'ts,
and all our Harlem family, welcome to your very own podcast.
Hello. Welcome back, and all once again to another episode of your favorite bi-monthly broadcast, Harlem's very own. I am, as always, your illustrious co-host, Justin Winley, a.k.a. Yes, Harriet did free slaves, a.k.a. keep black women's names out your mouth, a.k.a. put her on the $20 bill while we at it, joined by my boy.
Wow. Yep, just... Wow, Justin. You were right. Oh, man. All right, it's Jude Ali Steffers-Wilson, a.k.a. I am the powerful, the pleasurable, the indestructible Mushu, a.k.a. the Thug Muppet, a.k.a. Tall Tyrion. Was good. So, Justin, real quick, with those AKAs of yours, those shots, man, you have anything to say real quick before we get into, it?
I want to say things, but I also feel like no, it's not even that. It's just like I feel like we're trying to keep a time limit and we don't need to take away from it by discussing. We've already talked about Kanye on this podcast. That was our first episode, and maybe we'll come back to him eventually. I mean, let's just talk about Friday.
Okay,
let's be happy.
So Friday is a classic black movie. It's classic cinema from the great Ice Cube, who was an MC in NWA, and he's got his movie start in film in Boys in the Hood with John Singleton, RP to the God, and then he wrote it.
That's right. Movie. He did pass away.
Yeah, John Singleton passed away, I think, a year and some change ago. I think he had like a heart attack. Yeah. And watch out for Snowfall. That shit is crazy. But, so Friday is basically, for those who don't know, like Justin until yesterday, is a fun comedy based in the hood of South Central Los Angeles, where Craig, played by Ice Cube, and his buddy Smokey, played by Chris Tucker, are just basically just chilling, but get into trouble with a drug dealer by the name of Big Worm, over 200 measly little dollars.
Yeah.
And it's just them sitting around trying to get this money, being some lazy ass niggas, can't even lie to you, and getting in contact with hoochie mamas, beautiful young ladies, and Debo, the big old bully of the hood, and being bugged by another RIP, John Witherspoon, a.k.a. Granddad, a.k.a. Pops, from getting a job. So can I have your initial review of the movie, your initial thoughts, your initial everything?
Friday was pretty cool. I which I know maybe is like an underwhelming response. I definitely think that had I seen this movie around the age everyone else saw it, like probably like in middle school, if not earlier, it would mean a lot more to me, and it would have had a bigger impact because the it's got like the dynamic, and obviously very like over the top, sometimes often crass humor would have been like perfect. And it's not like I didn't laugh during the movie. I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I also thought it was cool that Ice Cube wrote it, and like I remember when I watched Straight Outta Compton sometime last year, that movie ends with, it's like him writing Friday on the computer. And it's a nice little preview. And I genuinely enjoyed the performances for the most part, and I thought that the writing was pretty solid. I mean, we'll get there like as we go through the plot, but I think that, I mean, I thought he was going to be in this movie more, but Bernie Mac shows up
Mm-hmm.
and in my opinion steals the movie. Like I think that is
Really?
his character is to me, and I just think that, again, RIP to the late great Bernie Mac, gone way too soon. I think he was one of the funniest men who ever
Mm-hmm.
lived, to be honest.
I
And
remember
when he
when he
shows,
died.
yeah, it was so like that's a celebrity death that definitely hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Because we liked the Bernie Mac show over here, so
Oh
that
hell
was
yeah, we
always fun.
loved it. And I remember him in Madagascar too. I remember sitting in the
Yeah.
theater and he was already dead. And I'm like, oh shit, Bernie Mac.
It was, he had three movies that came out after he died. One of them was like Soul Men or some Soul Brothers or something like that with Sam
Yeah.
Jackson, which I haven't seen. But he was just a trip, and he gives one of the favorite lines for me, which is when he sees Mrs. Who is it? Mrs. The neighbor. What's her name?
Miss Parker. Miss Parker.
Miss
Ooh.
Park.
Miss Parker was, well, you
Yeah.
probably know already, Justin. You can like
Oh,
see what like I was
yeah.
going through with Miss Parker. You can
I
see for some
as soon as I saw
actions.
it, I was like, so that explains certain things. That explains certain things. But yeah, overall, it's definitely, I definitely liked it. And of course, we'll do like final thoughts at the end. But
Hmm.
yeah, how many times have you seen it
I've
by
seen it a
now?
few times, just over and over again. I remember just watched clips of it when I was a little kid, and you're just trying to find things on YouTube without paying
Yeah,
for it. And I used to love Chris Tucker because for some reason I wanted to be a stand-up comedian when I was like 13 or 14, and
yeah, you were idolizing Cat Williams
I was
and stuff,
idolizing Cat
people like
Williams
that.
for no reason, bro. I look back at some of the stand-up I was listening to, and I'm just like, why did I find this funny? I know I'm 12 or 13. I'm like, I'm smarter than this, you know. And I feel like stand-up has kind of like taken a little steep fall because I don't know, they're just not as funny anymore. I don't know what's happening. But I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and Chris Tucker was one of my inspirations. And then when I saw Friday, I just died. You know,
Hmm.
when you're 12 or 13 years old, and I was putting like white kids from the suburbs onto Friday, and they're dying. And it was just such a really cool movie for me to watch. And I watched it by myself. I remember seeing it on DVD. I didn't watch it on DVD, but I would see the DVD case at my old babysitter's house. I'm like, what's this? I'm like, listen, man, you got to see this shit. And when I saw it, it was just one of those fun movies. It's
Hmm.
not that deep because last time we were recording, we were watching New Jack City,
Right.
and Friday's not that deep of a movie at all. But some things I thought about it were like it shows the frustration living in areas like LA and Harlem that we can
Yeah.
all relate to, like not having a job, being fired. We don't know for sure if Craig stole those boxes or not, but I think we could
Right.
all relate to being accused of something we didn't do, especially being
Exactly.
black,
Yeah.
especially being whatever, and the pressure on our families to like get a job and make something of ourselves. I don't think you and me ever experienced that, but I know other folks have experienced that with their families. Like, you need to get a job, you're lazy, you're this, you're that, and you're kind of
Hmm.
being berated all the time. I thought it was an interesting kind of take on it. Like, we're going through all this, but all this funny shit can happen. You know,
Yeah. Exactly.
that's something I thought was kind of cool about the movie. It's not. That's the deepest thing I think about it. And then also, I wonder why Craig had the gun in the first place.
Yeah. So we could do I guess a light synopsis, and go through the plot, and then like, talk about those moments as we go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure like most of the people listening to this, I'm like the only person on the planet,
Yo, you
one of
really are
three
the only.
people who
Yeah,
haven't seen Friday.
the only people
um,
that who haven't seen Friday are you and babies being born at 2:01 July 21st, 2020.
22nd, July 22nd. Yeah.
July 20. Oh my god,
um
I'm reading the wrong fucking note.
no, but you're right. I'm assuming that most people have seen it, but it starts. It's another movie like New Jack City. It starts with a line kind of like out of context.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it starts with Chris Tucker's line to Ice Cube,
Mm-hmm.
right, when he says, I know you don't smoke weed, but I'm gonna get you high because it's Friday. You ain't got no job. You ain't got nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the New Line logo. And then we open up, uh, and we meet. I think we do meet Craig first, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, actually, we're going through his house and like everyone's sleeping and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
then
see
Craig wakes
Pops
up.
snoring with
Yeah.
that stocking cap on his head.
Yeah, ordering the chicken in his dream.
That sounds like some good ass
And
chicken.
it probably was, I
And all
believe.
those lines, every line in Friday is dropped in Boondocks at some point. All the fries you can
See,
give me.
it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that you say that because even just like the first 10 minutes of this, I was like, because hey, I'm also late to the Boondocks train, guys. I'm sorry. I just
Justin, why are
started
you so
watching the
late? Why are you so late?
Boondocks.
Just
So
go ahead.
I just started watching the Boondocks, but I started looking for similarities between the crew because I was like, did someone who wrote on Boondocks write this movie? Or and it's like I couldn't really like F. Gary Gray didn't direct Boondocks or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but you can definitely tell there's an influence because there's a lot of like when Craig is setting up his trash cans.
Mm-hmm.
Outside his house, his mom tells him or his dad actually tells him to take out the trash. There's this bad little kid on the bike and he's riding by. And Boondocks likes to do this thing where there'll be like an argument going on in the background or there'll be someone talking while the actual scene is happening.
Yeah.
Um, and that kind of happened in Friday. Like the little kids is like off screen, still talking smack to Craig. So it
Yeah.
made me, they're very similar. So that makes sense then.
Yeah. And another thing, a lot of actors from Friday are in Boondocks.
All right,
Like
Boondocks.
obviously Pops, but then Craig's sister, Rashida. Oh my God, Rashida Jones? No, no,
Regina
who am I
King.
talking about? Regina King.
Yeah.
I didn't notice her at first. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, in this movie? Yeah.
Yeah, she played his
Yeah.
sister, and I think that's where a lot of the Friday influence got into Boondocks was Granddad and Regina King, because
As
Regina King
Huey and
plays both
Riley.
Huey
Yeah.
and Riley.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't know she was in this, but when I saw her, she's always great. And then she's doing a lot of dope work nowadays too. She
Yeah, like
just won an
Watchmen.
Oscar for yeah, she just won an Oscar for If Beale Street Could Talk. So good for her. Um, but yeah, so Craig, he wakes up, he gets the cereal,
Mm-hmm.
um, and there's no like the fridge is barren, it's basically empty. And this is where his dad comes in and he's like, you need to get a job. His dad works for the Pound. He's a
Poor
dog
bastard.
catcher.
Yep.
Which is like, that's such a brutal job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Are
not
there
one that
still
you
dog
usually,
catchers?
I don't even know if that's like, I don't know what that looks like now. If it's the same sort of thing, the same kind of job that it used to be. But it's also not a job you see a lot in movies. Even like with blue collar workers, it's usually
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, he's a factory worker or he's a delivery man or he's a salesman or whatever. But he's John Witherspoon is a dog catcher. We meet his mother too, played by, I didn't look up this actress's name, but she's been
She's been in a
in a
lot.
bunch of stuff.
In the time
Um,
during the time she was played a security guard with John Witherspoon on the Wayans Brothers.
Anna Marie Horsford is her name. Horsford. She's in a lot of Tyler
Mm-hmm.
Perry stuff nowadays. She's been in a Medea
Oh
Christmas
God,
and all that.
poor bastard.
Listen, you got to pay the bills.
You got to pay the bills for sell your soul.
But yeah, so his dad admonishes him, go get a job, go down to this place. He basically is like, he's telling him he could be a dog catcher. And Ice Cube is like, nah, I'm good off that, homie. This is the scene, of course, where they're in the bathroom while John Witherspoon is
Mm-hmm.
dropping heat.
Dropping bombs. Parents don't care, bro. They really do not care. After a while, they're like,
No.
listen, I smell your shit my entire life. You can smell it for 5 minutes. Bro,
Yeah,
parents do not give a damn.
which is another great line. And he's spraying the air freshener all over the place. He meets the sister, and then he goes into his room. And this is where we get Smokey, played by Chris Tucker,
Mm-hmm.
popping in. Is that after he runs into Big Worm on the street?
That's before.
Before, okay, yeah. He
Yeah, then
pops in.
he
He's like, come outside and smoke with me." Yeah.
runs the Big Worm, and he's trying to sell bud for Big Worm, but he's a weed addict, which is not really a. I mean, it's a thing, but it's not a thing at the same time. It's just so
Yeah,
petty.
that was interesting because I think one of the deeper points I think the movie might be trying to make is it is talking about addiction a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you have, and it's trying to do it in a lighthearted way. So you have, what is that dude's name? You have the
Phase on Love.
crackhead.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ezel.
Ezel. Yeah, you have him running around. Oh, I'm hurt.
My
That
neck, my
dude.
back. I want $200,000, but I'll settle for
Right.
20.
What was your experience with potheads in high school or in middle school?
Me,
Yeah,
bro. I
like,
was
did you know
homeschooled, bro.
any?
You forget? I,
Oh, that's
I, I,
right.
yeah, I was homeschooled, but I dated a few, and it was just around a lot.
Hmm.
But the people who are just like pot, they just smoked all the time, bro, and they kind of mind their business. But one thing I'm actually noticing right now is like maybe it was also a warning sign to some weed heads because we're
Hmm.
at Smokey and Craig's age now,
Yeah,
and
that's
if
true.
and their lives were just funny for one day, but your life can just be funny, but it could be nothing else. So it might be like, yo, you better
A
like
wake up
get your shit
call. Yeah.
together soon. Yeah, like yo, I could like be getting shot for $200 because I'm just trying to sell a little bit of weed, but I'm smoking all of it.
Exactly. I was going to say that my high school had a big opioid issue,
Cause you
and
went to
there were
LaGuardia, bro,
yeah. Well,
and not for nothing. I remember I heard some stories.
I'm sure you did, bro.
I've heard some
Everyone,
stories. And all that pressure
ev-
those kids are on
huh?
all that pressure those kids are on to like
Yeah,
audition, be in shape, sing well, act well,
yeah,
play the
yeah.
guitar well, and they're getting influenced by like Jimi Hendrix or whoever the fuck, and they just start wilding.
Of
Did you see
course.
a lot of like wild shit in LaGuardia? Because I know you're the chill one. You know what? I'm just gonna scoop back over here. Just gonna scoop.
Yeah, well, I I noticed it affect a lot of my friends, and like it wasn't just the opioids, but the opioids coupled with weed. Like people were definitely they would pop a pill before they came to school or
Yeah.
before the major classes, and then they would smoke after school. And it even friends from middle school and all love, if they I don't even know if they listen to that to this, but all my friends who or I should say most of the friends I have who started smoking, like it wasn't like they turned evil or they became
Nah.
like
No. No. Never.
deadbeats, but it definitely does take over your personality, absolutely, because
Yeah.
like once you start doing that, it introduces you to a subculture that just becomes part of your new identity, and then sometimes that can affect
Your
a bunch of different
decisions.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think this movie is getting into that a little bit.
Hmm.
And so one of the big plot points is that Craig, he kind of smokes for pretty much the first time or the first time in a long time,
Yeah.
and you see that process, and then it's a whole that's part of the comedy too. But I mean, I
Over
think that this
exaggerated as fuck. I'm just saying because go ahead, but
you would think that he had smoked the angel dust that Smokey is talking
yo,
about at
that
one
shit was
point.
mad funny.
Um,
That shit was
uh,
mad funny.
Another
I talked to
favorite
my
line.
homies about that. They were scared of Angel Dust ever since that. The
Yeah,
two
I don't.
the two instances of Angel Dust in movies was that and Training Day, and everyone got scared.
That isn't Training Day. Yeah, that one I have seen. Don't worry, guys. I've seen
Thank
Training
God.
Day. Great movie.
It's an
But
amazing movie.
that's another favorite line, by the way, when Smokey is recounting that, and he's like, I'm in Debo pigeon coop, sweating like a slave." He wound up in a pigeon coop. His physical comedy in the movie is great. Like the way
Yeah.
that he moves, and he's always so like hyper and everything. I mean, he's doing a great job, and it's interesting because apparently when he auditioned the first time, he bombed, but he
Mm.
had like a dinner with one of the producers or something, and got the part after that. Um, yeah. So what are we talking about? Ice Cube got high, but before
Mhm.
that, oh yeah. So the I think that the movie is trying to, like you said, a little bit be a cautionary tale.
Mhm.
Um, but you're kind of I feel like one of the things I wrote down was that it's kind of like a play in some ways, or
Mm.
that it could be adapted into one because it mostly takes place in one location.
Yeah.
Um, they're sitting in front of their house, just watching the neighborhood, and that I think is indicative of what F. Gary Gray wanted to capture, because by this point, this is like 4 years after Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
Um, and he was like, all the hood movies are like tragic, and people are
Word.
getting shot and all that, and like I wanted to make one that's just about, you know, dudes just chilling on the stoop and like making fun of
Mhm.
stuff that they see, which is really all this movie is. It's a stoner movie, it's a hangout movie. um but I think that you could definitely I could definitely see it being adapted with like the cast of characters it has. But this is eventually we meet, you know, they're having the conversation. Craig is like, yeah, you know, I got fired. They thought I stole something. And Smokey's like, yeah, you know, yada yada yada. You need to get yourself a job. Meanwhile, Smokey is obviously
Jobless.
unemployed, blatantly. Um, except for when he's, you know, dealing. Um, and he runs into Big Worm,
Mhm.
played by Faison Love, who this guy looked like he looked familiar. He is.
Face on Love is big. Like,
Oh, he's from Elf. Maybe that's what I
yeah, he's from
recognize him from.
Elf. He's been in a lot of things. He's just that. I'm sorry. He's the fat black dude that's funny as shit. That you just like pop in there every now and then. He's
Yeah,
funny as shit and he's talented and he does his job well. But that's kind of what he's been typecasted as.
that's his type. Yeah, yeah. And he plays this dealer with this Jerry curl wig on, talking to talking to Smokey about, like, you know, you've been smoking up my weed. And Smokey's like, you know, I would never do that, man. And you know this. And that's where we get, which I've said that before, and I've always thought it was like a funny thing to say, but I never knew where it came from. I think the
Bro.
first time I heard it was in you know, that Key and Peele sketch where he's playing Obama, and he's like, every time he sees a white person he shakes their hand very formally, but every
Oh
time he sees a
yeah,
black
of
person,
course. And you know this. And you know
you
this.
know this.
We right here.
Right.
That shit is mad funny.
So
I'm your anger translator.
yeah, we're we should probably recreate those at some point.
Absolutely should.
That would be funny. um but yeah, so he meets up with Big Worm. You know, he's like, this is where he finds out he owes him the 200, and then what happens?
He, damn, what happens? I don't know. He just goes back with Craig. Craig is talking to his pops, and I don't know now because I've seen it so many times, but also it's those instances you just kind of forget, like the in between the actual funny parts.
Some of the scenes blend together
Yeah.
because it's all in one place, like
Hmm.
because they're sitting in front of the house for so much of it. You're like, wait, when does this part happen? But you know, eventually they meet.
Nia,
Debo shows up.
Debo. Oh yeah. Then no, we're introduced with the Debo story when it goes black and white into the flashback
Yeah,
of a couple
yeah.
days ago when he had that dude's bike and he knocked him out for it. I was like, that
Sure, you can.
that was what had me dying when I was 12 years old. When Chris Tucker stands over this nigga and says, "You got knocked the fuck out." I wanted to say that to somebody so bad if I ever got into a fight.
Is that part of the motivation for doing
But
martial arts? You know, like, one day
nah,
I'll be able to say this.
nah, man. I was a nigga with big titties, and I didn't want big titties no more. That was it, bro.
You were AKA Phase on Love back
I
then.
was AKA phase on love. You know what I'm saying?
I will say one of two screen debuts for actors that became pretty big later on in this movie happens in the flashback. You don't really know. I didn't even notice
Michael
him. I had
Michael
Michael
Clark
Clark.
Duncan.
Yeah, he's one of Debo's boys shooting craps. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what? When I went back and looked, I could see him, but before I was only focusing on Tiny Lister,
Mm-hmm.
um, but before this I'd only known from The Dark Knight. You
He
remember
was in
him
the
in that
Dark
movie?
Knight.
Yeah, bro. He plays the prisoner on the boat that gets up, and he's like, you know, so Joker puts the two detonators on the cruise ships, and he's like, one of, you know, you each have the remote detonator to the bombs in the other ship, so one of you has to blow up the other one, or I blow you both up. And Tiny Lister is one of the prisoners from Arkham or Blackgate or whatever, and he gets up and takes it from the ward. And he's like, you don't you want to live, but you don't know how to take a life. Give it to me. And then, but he winds
Oh
up throwing the
damn,
dead.
I don't remember
Yeah,
that at
watch that
all.
movie again, and you'll because I mean, he still looks like Tiny Lister. He's not, you know,
Yeah, he's just
he's
big as hell and has a lazy eye. Sorry, he's just
yeah.
oh
So yeah, he pops up in that, but he plays Debo in this, who's like this big. neighborhood bully, always running around on this little bike, jacking people for their, every time he comes around, Ice Cube and Chris Tucker have to hide their chains and their pagers and whatever from him.
Mhm.
And he gets Smokey to break into this dude's house with him.
That was funny.
Uh,
Why is that man in why is that man in that neighborhood? If South LA
yeah,
is so bad, why is there this yuppie? Just
yeah, with this like 1920s Langston Hughes finger
word.
waves.
And the bright pink shirt. I fuck with pink. Cameron, Dipset all day. I fuck with pink. And those high ass shorts, and his shirt is tucked into his shorts. And
Yeah, telling people to stop walking on his grass.
bro,
Yeah,
what are you doing in this neighborhood?
he definitely did it to himself a little bit. But and who
Gentrified.
is that actor too? There's a lot of like actors, like small character actors in here. I feel like that probably popped up a lot through the 90s. But
Like
that like
like Mr.
you know
Parker, the midget. You see him all
yeah
the time. You see this
yeah
man
the
all the
little
time.
person. Yeah, Tony Cox. Let's see what
Wait,
else this
wait,
guy.
wait, wait, wait. Did I just say a bad word? Was that
I
bad?
think you. Yes, I think that's no longer for a while. I think that's not been the way
Okay, because when
they're
when when I
referred to.
when I heard the term like dwarf and look, that just sounds mad belittling. It
I
sounds
would think
mad
so too,
condescending.
but I'm not. That's
I'm,
I
I'm
don't
not
have.
I'm not them, but I'm just like this
Yeah,
is
I thought little person sounds like how you would refer to like your child.
word.
Um,
Like you're a little person, sweetie. Gonna become a big person.
yeah, when you're
Like
older, you can, But yes, this actor,
I just want to know how he even swung, Miss Parker
Mrs. Parker.
initially. Just
Well,
how?
that's one of the setups in the movie that I think. Oh well, yeah. So we actually have to go back then because that's one of the setups I think kind of works well in this movie. Is that like they're Smokey and Craig are walking past her house and they see her, and obviously she's in this like ridiculous outfit. She's wearing shorts that are like basically panties, and she has the tied button down shirt, and she's using the garden hose and everything.
Mm-hmm.
um and Smokey is like, I know he ain't hitting that right about like Mr. Parker. And that you at first like that can just kind of mean anything, he's
Yeah.
just like hating on a dude. But then later you find out, oh, he's saying because he's so short, like how could he, be doing that? But yeah, so they set up this lustful character, Mrs. Parker, and
Mm-hmm.
then Debo shows up. They go to rob this guy's house, and they get $200. But Debo keeps all of it, even though he
Yeah.
forces Smokey to go into the house with him, which later becomes important because that's exactly how much money Smokey needs to pay back Big Worm.
Mm-hmm.
While they're inside, uh, oh wait, yeah, before, yeah, this movie does blend. Before Debo shows up, I think the pastor shows up, and this is when they're first rolling up the weed for the first time.
That was
And
funny
this is
too.
Bernie Mac playing Pastor Clever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's basically a cameo. Like he's in the movie for maybe 5 minutes altogether, but
Yeah.
he does an
It's
incredible
a golden
job.
5 minutes.
Yeah, it's just great. And he shows up, and he's like, let me get some of that for the what is it, for the glaucoma or something he's
The
talking about,
cataracts.
for the
Yeah.
cataracts. Yeah. um, and then he sees Mrs. Parker, and he says, "The Lord is my shepherd. He know what I want." And he walks over to her house, and he says, "Let's pray together. Let's do some prayer." So he
Justin,
goes into.
you know any pastors that do shit like that?
Do I know any? No,
Oh,
no. I
no,
I don't
no,
I don't know any.
no,
I don't know
no.
any. All the pastors in my life, all the ministers and men of God are upstanding citizens, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
But the stereotype exists for a reason. Like it definitely, there are definitely, especially once you start getting into like, I think mega churches and televangelism and stuff like that. You know, that level of celebrity comes with some temptation, let's call it. But yeah, that's the crooked pastor is like that's one of those stereotypes in black movies that you see a lot.
I
um
wonder why, because black folks are so involved in a lot of black folks are so involved in the church.
in the church.
Why
Yeah, it's
that's
it's
I wonder why that's a big thing.
it's interesting. It's like, yeah, I don't even really know, because it is such a part of our culture. But I guess, you know, it's a way of making fun of a person without necessarily making fun of the belief or the practice.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's recurring in a lot of stuff. He shows up though. Ice Cube has to stand out and watch for Smokey and Debo while Mister whatever that dude's name, while Langston Hughes is away. Um, Mister Betty Boop, and at
Wow,
that
he does look like Betty Boop with those big ass eyes.
with a mustache.
Oh
And at that
God,
point, we get, you know, now Mr. Parker returns home and he goes into the house, and then, he chases Pastor Clever out, in his like suspenders and a hat, running into his car. And he drives away, and Mr. Parker throws a brick at the back of his car.
yo,
And
that
that's the
little
last
dude
we
got a
see of the
strong
past.
arm.
Yeah, listen,
The
chuck that
Jets
thing.
need him.
For real, Brett Favre. But yeah, then for the rest of the movie, you see him a little bit, Mr. Parker. He's like throwing his wife's clothes out on the lawn and stuff. Um,
Ezel
but
steals
yeah, they set up that like, okay, Debo snatches the $200, and now they need to find a way to make that up before the end of the night. Otherwise, Big Worm is ready to
to shoot them,
eliminate them.
and they
Now
do
by this,
nothing. They're like, yo,
yeah,
but he goes to his assistant. Let me $200. The way he's asking this shit is like not even like, yo, listen. He's not humble and
right
somber about it. Like,
at
yo,
all.
listen, I'm scared. He's like, let me $200. It's the way.
For what? But now by this point, I have to say another thing we have to back up and mention that we've skipped over the
We
best
skipped
part.
over like what the best part.
Aside from Bernie Mac, the best part of the film, Miss Nia Long.
Ah, Nia Long, the one that J Cole was too young for.
Yes, sir. Played by, well, not played by, but playing Debbie. And we
Hmm.
see her jogging. Now, it was refreshing to see Nia Long back in something that was good, because I was I was
Oh yeah,
watching part of this movie, Fatal Attraction, on
how was
Netflix the other
that?
night.
How was that, my
It's
brother?
I couldn't even finish it. I mean, she's good, but the
She's always
movie
good.
itself, I actually like to watch those
Bad movie.
bad Lifetime obsession type movies, but this one wasn't even entertaining. Like, it has
What's
Omar Epps playing
an ain't
the
shit
the
nigga as always.
bad guy. Yeah, and I just like, it's kind of, he's not super believable in it. And also, I don't know if I buy that Omar Epps and Nia Long would hook up in real life. So I don't know. I mean, the '90s were a crazy time. Like we said last episode, Vivica and 50.
Hmm. Yeah, man.
All
50 shot
sorts of
that.
stuff was going
Yo, and they still have a beef over that. It's still funny.
on.
You
But
know,
yeah, Nia Long shows up, and she's playing Debbie, who's, Craig Jones' neighborhood crush.
mhm,
Um,
gorgeous.
yeah, absolutely. Rocking the classic '90s, hairstyle combo of like the short pixie cut with the
Mhm.
bangs. Halle
The
Berry did
Walkman.
it. Yeah, Vivica did it. It was what worked back then, and
I
they all
appre-
looked good.
I appreciate her running. I appreciate the way she was just running in the neighborhood because you don't see that, and it's it's refreshing to see a woman being able to run freely in her neighborhood. Yet
Hmm.
these niggas are being disgusting, and it's to set up the film. But she's just, hi, I'm enjoying my time. I'm healthy. I'm going to school. I'm doing my thing. It was a really nice, refreshing thing to see with Nia Long,
Yeah,
and that's what she plays. She usually played a refreshing girlfriend character.
yeah. Definitely has like this perfect girl next door energy
Hmm.
for the film, that just like that works. And it was really, it was like a dynamite year for, not even year, a decade for Nia Long.
Yeah,
She basically worked. She was working pretty much. If a movie wasn't out, she was filming it for all of the '90s. So she'd been in. Actually, she, Ice Cube, and Regina were all in Boys in the Hood together,
yeah.
um,
Oh, I
in
forgot she was the
'91.
voice in the hood.
Yeah. Then she did
Hmm.
Made in America in '93, and then she worked in,
Damn,
'95.
the
But
best
in
man in '99.
1997, yeah, in 1997, she had Have Plenty, Soul Food, and Love Jones all in the same year. So
Damn.
she was working, and that, it goes to show. You see that I think like when an actor, especially when an actress is new and she's young and she looks good or whatever, she's
Hmm.
all over the place, and that happens today too. But I think it was definitely a thing in the '90s because of that kind of hip hop. What?
Guess what she was in like 2003?
Oh,
She was
what?
in Bad Ass, directed by Mario Van Peebles.
Oh yeah, was that must be the sequel then to Sweet Sweetback? I think he made it. Um,
That shout out to my
yeah,
daddy.
yeah, but yeah, she plays. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so there's a point where she comes over to see Craig, and Smokey is there too, and then she sets like he's like when you gonna set me up with your friend, and he gets on the phone with this chick Rita, and I just gotta say you see this joke coming a mile away, like
Yeah.
the whole thing, like this was as soon as he got on the phone and she was describing herself, I was like, she's gonna be fat, isn't she? That's gonna be that's
Wow.
gonna be the punchline.
Assuming.
I knew how I was like, I feel like it's the mid '90s. This is a hood classic. That's going to be the joke. But he's talking to this girl on the phone. She's like, I'm light skinned, I'm thick, and people say I look like Janet Jackson, which turns out to not be the case at
Who's
all.
describing themselves like that? Like, this is not your Tinder, bro. Like,
And yeah, I didn't even know thick was a thing in the mid '90s. I didn't know people were saying it like that.
bro, we loved ass at all times. Are you kidding me?
I know that, but I'm
Do you
saying
not
like
see Miss Parker? Like,
I didn't know the way we were describing it was thick, like and I also like even it it goes to show there's really nothing new, like because and like things get recycled all the time because
yeah,
even the phrase "hook up" wasn't something that I really thought we were using in the '90s. Like that
nah,
seemed
we
like a
were.
thing that came out in like 2012. People started talking about hooking up. Um,
Yeah, man.
but
And then another term we got from Friday was "Bye Felicia" with Nia
yes,
Long's sister, who
yes.
was that was harsh. That was real harsh. I don't know many. I don't know any Felicias at all, really. But like, oof.
Yeah, that became like this movie birthed a million memes, and that was one of them. Like everyone was saying "Bye, Felicia" for that's just the thing,
Hmm.
that we say now. And it's interesting. Felicia's actually connected to kind of one of the things that's a little weird for me about the movie is that like so basically literally at the 55-minute mark,
Yeah.
and by this point like they've run into Debo a couple of times.
Hmm.
They've had the threat made on their lives. I think also we've gotten this is right after we get the second screen debut of and this one is Megan Good. She
Oh
shows
yeah,
up
Megan
as one of the
Good.
little kids.
When she was in the ice cream truck.
Yeah, yeah, and standing in front of the ice cream truck. And I wondered for a second if she was going to have a line or not, or if she was just an extra.
She did.
But it was, yeah, she has a line, yeah. But it was crazy seeing her because I just watched Eve's Bayou a couple weeks ago, which is she's in that with Journey Smollett,
Hmm.
Jussie's older sister, I
Who
think
was her?
older. Hmm?
Josie Smouye. Smouye.
Jussie Smollett, I think it's Smollett. I don't know,
Smouye.
Smolder.
Smouye.
Um, but yeah, both of them obviously would go on to be in Roll Bounce later on, another
That's funny.
classic. Um, but yeah, so right after that, we get this scene where Smokey and Craig are sitting down, and Smokey's like, "Yeah, I got to make this money, whatever." But he's kind of still making a joke of it, and Craig is like, "That's all you do is joke around, like all you do is play." Um, but this is a serious situation we're in. And so then the movie takes this like sharp turn because now we're having this serious conversation. And I kind of wondered if the rest of the movie was gonna then, I mean, I knew it would still be a comedy, but if the rest of it was kind of
Hmm.
kind of take things a bit more seriously
Yeah.
on a consistent basis. But I don't think that really happens. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like the serious moments are kind of just like these jarring things that happen
Yeah,
and then the movie goes back to being funny.
because that's what happens in the hood. Apparently, I think too. Ice Cube. It'll be funny all day. Wild shit will happen. Funny the next few minutes. Wild shit will happen. Funny again. Wild shit will
Hmm.
happen. Like, and that's what happened at the end of the movie. Even the shootout when they were getting shot up by uh Big Worm's goons. Also, film debut of Ice Cube's homeboy Dub C shooting up
Mm.
the shooting at Craig and Smokey. Even the way they were shooting, I'm like, yo, these niggas have no aim whatsoever. They just sprayed down the block. No one's house got hit. Like no, like I didn't hear Pop
Yeah,
complain about who's shooting at my house, who's shooting at my windows.
exactly. There's also a point where Smokey is on top of a roof,
Like,
pointing directly at them, and of course they don't hit him. I mean, I don't think the
they hit
movie
all around
never
them,
wants. Right, right. The movie wants to avoid, obviously, like we said earlier, it wants to avoid showing people dying. So
of course.
it is making light of those things. But yeah, I kind of thought that I wasn't sure in that case if it was supposed to be like satirical or if it was the movie trying to infuse something serious and not really hitting the mark. Because then it happens again with Felicia. She's in a relationship with Debo, but Debo is obviously abusive, and so
Yeah,
he hits her. This is at, like toward the end of the movie. We'll just jump. Y'all seen
yeah,
it? Okay, we've been over it.
dead ass.
I get it. Yeah. So um, Debo beats on Felicia and bruises her because at some point Smokey sneaks into his house and roots through his clothes, and Debo wakes up and thinks that she did it. So
Mm-hmm.
Nia Long, Debbie, she drags her sister out. She confronts Debo, and she's like, you hit her like she was a man, like she's a grown man.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid of you. You're lucky I'm not a man because I'd knock you out myself.
I believe
I
her.
kind of wanted to see her. Yeah, absolutely. I kind of wanted to see her hit him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But then, he smacks her, which is when we get the fight between him and Craig, which is a pretty good fight. It's pretty satisfying. Like
No,
Craig
it is.
smacking him on the head with like bricks and wood and trash cans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's another moment where I'm like, okay, but 5 minutes ago we were just, you know,
In a
dancing
shootout,
around kind of.
dancing around
Um,
in a shootout 7 minutes ago.
yeah.
Like,
And I mean, they do have that moment with. I remember this clip went around a lot after John Witherspoon passed away,
mm-hmm.
when he sees Craig taking the gun out of his drawer, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "What do you need a gun for? You know,
Yeah,
you a man. Like when I was a kid coming up, these are all you need. Just left and right, and you fight and you lose, but you win. You live to fight another day." And I actually
yeah.
think that scene is effective, but again, that was like right after he yells at Smokey. So I was thinking, okay, like the movie, like it was jokes, but now they're taking a look at a little bit more of like the serious side, not to make this a Boys in the Hood movie, not to make it Menace to
No.
Society, but to make it a bit more. But yeah, so that I think the tone was a little,
It had a
a
paternal
little bit
aspect to it. That's so funny. Like your pops can be that funny guy or that annoying dude,
true.
but every now and then your pops will be like, "Listen, son, like you can literally
Yes.
fight the day if you use your hands, but you use a gun, kill someone, or you get killed. That's it."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Like
was
he
another,
levels with him.
which was needed in the movie. I think these movies did their job.
Yeah.
They did their job to teach us lessons that we might not be taught or it might not be highlighted in the media at the time. You
Hmm.
know, and Ice Cube always wants to be deep. He was the deep one in NWA. He wrote "Fuck the Police."
Yeah. True. He did always have that political, has always, I should say, has always had that political mind. Um, but yeah, they end up. I think Smokey ends up. They don't even end up paying Big Worm back. Actually, do they?
Not it, well, they don't like directly pay him back, but on the phone at the end, he was like, "Listen, I got your money. Tell your bitch ass boys to not shoot
Oh
up
yeah, right, right,
my
right.
friend. I'm going to rehab. I'm done smoking weed." Hangs up the phone and proceeds to light up a joint.
To light up the weed. Yeah, yeah. Um, and by this point now, we've had Craig confronts Debo. He knocks him out in front of the whole hood. Gets respect for choosing not to use the gun on him and just fight him relatively fair and square. I mean, he used what Sifu would call equalizers.
Oh, dead ass. And fucking Tiny Zeus Lister was a WWE wrestler. He I'm sorry, probably on steroids. The man's
Probably,
big as shit.
probably a little bit.
The
Yeah.
man's huge. Look at his head. You can throw a rock at it and it'll break. You know,
I was surprised the brick that he picked up and hit him with didn't break in this movie.
not for real. And it was just Ice Cube. Ice Cube is average at best.
Right. He's probably like 5'9",
5'9", maybe like 205 of like just regular body weight.
regular dude weight.
Not
Yeah.
like Michael B. Jordan or nothing.
Yeah. So, he's punching up, but he knocks him out. And yeah, that's when Smokey gets the money off of him. And then the UPS worker from earlier, he comes and gets his grandma's chain, snatches it back off of him. And you kind of have this cool moment
And he's
where,
takes the shoes off.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that in itself, it is satisfying because by that point, I was pretty annoyed with Debo. Like I was definitely ready to, like, once he hits Debbie, it turns into, again, now it's not just like he's this big baby who walks around, bothering people,
Mm-hmm.
but he's an abuser. And
Yeah.
so, you want to see him. Ice Cube goes, "That's a female." And you want to see him get dusted up, and he does. But yeah, the movie ends. Then he's a little bruised and whatever. But Debbie comes up to him and she's like, "You said what time you wake up tomorrow?" And he says 8:30. I don't know why he lying because he ain't got a job, but
He might try to I don't know, let's start a new routine, bro. Might be corny,
maybe, yeah,
bro. He's like,
maybe
I just want to wake up 8:30, set myself on a schedule.
right, workout.
You saw him doing those bench presses in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. He was getting his gains. It looked like the rec center that you and Josh used to go to.
Oh my god,
Just the equipment that they have there.
Oh my god, it's gonna be me in my house with a bench press in here.
Yeah. But yeah, they get together. Basically, the implication is that Debbie and Craig get together at the end. And that's pretty much Friday. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll come back with our final thoughts. And we're back. So Friday, directed by F. Gary Gray, written by Ice Cube and DJ Pooh, with cinematography by Jerry Lively. So what were you rewatching this, Jude? Like, and you're a grown man now yourself. You are thankfully employed, or at least you have a lifeguard position.
Yes,
How did you feel about watching this again? Compared to the other times you've seen it.
It's a cool movie. It's refreshing. It's nice to just escape during quarantine.
Mm.
You're just watching a fun movie. It's not too serious. It's not heavy because I think what we watch, and we have so much, content at our fingertips with Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Disney Plus, and YouTube. We have billions upon billions of material to watch from. And it can be really heavy on us with the subject matter because we all like crime, dramas, and serious shit. But this was just an adult, nice, refreshing movie where no one has to die. There's no serious subject matter. It's just a nice way to step back, get out of whatever's going on in your head, whatever's going on in our lives. It was just a fun place to escape to, but also feel down to earth and relatable.
Yeah. I think it's I like watching it. I definitely understood why it's been so popular and why it's lasted so long. And I enjoyed myself for the most part. There were times I felt that the driving, I guess, conflict of the movie wasn't enough to keep me invested. I was like, whether or not they get these $200, I feel like ultimately things are going to be, it doesn't even really matter. And the fact that the transaction doesn't even happen on screen is it shows you it's just a thing to kind of, what am I trying to say? It's a device to boost the comedy.
Yeah.
And because the comedy is the main draw, and it feels like in that regard, it feels like a series of it almost was like a series of skits that were like put together, or a series of like scenes that were kind of like, or like funny conversations that were put together in one movie. And there's definitely a lot of improv in it too. Chris Tucker, I think, improv most of his stuff.
Yeah, and it was shot very quickly. It was shot, I feel like,
Yeah, I saw something about
a week, maybe. I feel like a week, 2 weeks, and I saw like
that's
some Entertainment Tonight thing about it. You know, it was after John Witherspoon passed away, or also the 25th anniversary of the movie coming out. It just came out around the same amount of time, and they just had like some behind the scenes stuff of this them having fun, you know, in the dressing room, in the green rooms, just, you know, enjoying themselves, joking around. It just seemed like a very fun atmosphere, but also it was made very cheaply. You know, they
yeah.
didn't have a lot, and it didn't need a big budget. You know, it's not like it's The Rock and Kevin Hart driving cars through buildings with ponies.
Right. It was filmed in 20 days, so a little over 2 weeks.
How quarantine was supposed to happen.
God. But yeah, I think that, yeah, it's definitely, it's like a friend of mine, he coined this term, or at least the first time I ever heard someone use it, comfort movie. Like how you have comfort food, you have comfort movies. And I think Friday is a comfort movie. Like it's something that if it's on TV, it's perfect background noise. You can pay attention for your favorite moments, and then you can tune back out and look at Instagram or whatever. And I think that since F. Gary Gray wanted to create something that was a testament to the good part of the hood, good aspects of it, I think he succeeded. Now, I can't speak for those sequels. I've heard those sequels are pretty garbage.
They're still funny and comfortable, but they're not as good as the first because Chris Tucker's not in it. No disrespect to Mike Epps. Mike Epps is funny as shit, but Smokey is Smokey. I do not.
Does he replace Chris Tucker as Smokey, or is it just a different character?
It's just a different character, but he replaces Smokey as Craig's right-hand guy. He plays Craig's cousin, Day Day. Oh my God, I can't remember this shit. And it just seems like some like straight to DVD shit, bro.
Yeah.
At a barbershop. Those were the last two Friday movies, was just some straight to DVD shit.
I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff in this movie. Like first opening the movie with Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on the door and then getting slammed in their faces. I have a funny story. It's just, oh please,
yo. So like, this didn't happen to me. This happened to a friend of mine, but I wish it happened to me but this nigga was he was a pothead. So he tells me Jehovah's Witnesses knocks on his door. He looks at the peephole and he's like, I bet. So he puts a blunt in his mouth and draws upside down crosses on his face.
Yeah, but my mom had to deal with them a lot, and she's frequently closed the door on some Jehovah's Witnesses. So
I don't take no mess.
No, I definitely was able to at least relate to that. But yeah, I mean, there's that, and we didn't even talk about, you know, the moment we recreated in our first photo shoot, where they lean back.
Yo, I thought that was a shorty, but no, that was when Red's eye is just basically coming out of his face.
Yeah, because he got socked by Debo. Yeah, I mean, all in all, you know, Friday is definitely a classic for a reason. I enjoyed watching it. I'm glad that I've seen it now, so people can stop bullying me. I'll whenever people ask me if I've seen it, I'll say yes, and then, you know, I don't have to say when I saw it. Okay, I can maintain
the podcast. Direct them to the podcast.
Exactly.
For the listeners, you know what I'm saying?
We always like to end on a good note. What are your songs of the week, Monsieur Jude?
I discovered I discovered a song a couple days ago when I was watching this documentary about Ron Artest, who was a basketball player from Queensbridge, and he was a big deal back in the day because he was wild. But there was a song called Renee by the Lost Boys, which is fire. I put it on my Instagram yesterday because the beat is haunting and it's about this dude's girlfriend who dies, but it's a really good song. So Renee by Lost Boys, Garden Grove by Sublime, and I'm trying to get my last joints. Southside by Lloyd.
Copy. I started getting back into my reggaeton and Spanish music this week, so
Yo,
I was
Justin,
listening to some.
Spanish AKA like Theo Justin, Theo Yotin. Oh
Well, I have
yeah,
Papi Yotin. I have Papi Yotin, but I can definitely come up with some more. We're
you
gonna
need some
figure it
more,
out.
bro. You need some more, man.
But I was listening to some Rosalia, A Ningún Hombre. Yeah, she's just great. I mean, I don't want to. I could gush about Rosalia, but I'm not going to do that because we're at the end of the podcast.
Shoot your shot.
Pero Ya No by Bad Bunny,
Mhm.
and then to throw on a classic, Window Seat by Erykah Badu. Just always great, just to sit and vibe to.
Just don't come in contact with Erykah Badu, bro. You're gonna come out with a kufi. You're gonna start talking like Joshua Johnson.
And with that, that's a wrap for us today, beloveds. If you want more Uptown love, you can find our episodes, new and old, on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and anywhere you like listening to your podcast. As always, we thank you for kicking it with us. Tune in next time when we check out Juice, and keep up with us on Instagram and Twitter. We're on Twitter now.
Oh God.
At HvO. At HvO Pod.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Blessings and excellence as always. Peace out.
Later.